5 of the most common questions I get about non-monogamy as a therapist who specializes in non-monogamy. So whether you're new to the concept or just curious, let's see if you have some of the same questions. Hey there, I'm Lauren Consul, a licensed psychotherapist and certified sex therapist, here to help you have more satisfying and secure sex and relationships. Question number 1, what is non-monogamy? Which is often followed by, isn't that just polygamy? This is such a common question that I get when I tell people that one of my specialties is non-monogamy. And that makes sense because while non-monogamy has been around essentially forever, its understanding and visibility has evolved over time. And non-monogamy is a very broad umbrella term that refers to relationship styles where all partners consent to having romantic and or sexual or emotional connections with others. And this can look lots of different ways. So if someone tells you they're non-monogamous, it gets you in the ballpark, but you still really have no idea what that actually means for them unless they share more. Now, the question about polygamy, I think, often comes up because one of the first mainstream shows about non-monogamy was Sister Wives, which portrayed polygamy. Now, polygamy is where one person has multiple spouses and those spouses don't have other partners. Now, it's often, but not always, rooted in religion or culture, but it's actually quite rare. Let's talk about some of the most common non-monogamous relationship structures that you might hear about. Now, this is not going to cover all of them. I have another video about that, and still even in that, you're not going to cover all of them because there are so many different structures, and really if you can imagine it, you can create it, and not everything has a label, or even how I talk about things is not going to be in alignment with how other people speak about them or how they understand them, because this is an evolving process of how we define and understand that, and it's very individualistic. But if you're new to this topic, here are some of the common types that you might hear just to kind of get you a sense of what might be happening. But you're always going to need to ask more questions or know more to really understand what it means for those partners in that relationship. One common relationship structure is an open relationship. Now, an open relationship is another broad category within non-monogamy. So you're going to hear this, but it can be lots of different things. However, most often when I hear people talking about an open relationship, it's often characterized by a primary couple who's engaging in additional sexual and or emotional interactions. More often I hear that it's mainly focused on sex, and there might be limitations around emotional connections or dating intimately, but that's not always true. Another common structure is polyamory. Now, this is again a broad term and can look lots and lots of different ways. Generally, though, it can be where you're engaging in intimate relationships with multiple partners simultaneously, which may encompass varying levels of emotional commitment, sexual involvement, financial commitment, life commitment, and that's going to vary depending on what type of polyamory, what type of relationships those look like. Another common thing you might hear is swinging, and this generally involves couples swapping partners, either both partners swapping, only one partner swapping, or engaging in group sexual activities together. Now, the key to all of these is that everyone involved agrees to the structures of the relationship. Honesty, communication, and mutual consent are the cornerstone of non-monogamy, with boundaries and respect for each partner's wants and needs really at the core. Question number 2, isn't non-monogamy just permission to cheat? Absolutely not. Cheating and non-monogamy are not the same thing. Cheating is non-consensual non-monogamy. Right? And cheating happens when someone breaks the established boundaries or agreements of their relationship. And this is true whether you're in a monogamous or non-monogamous relationship. In non-monogamy, everyone involved is aware and has consented to the structure and agreements involved with the relationship. So for instance, if you agree that it's okay to have sexual experiences outside of your relationship and you follow that, you're not cheating because no agreements are being broken. But non-monogamous relationships, of course, can still experience cheating if someone breaks an agreed upon agreement. So for example, if you and your partner agree to only have sex with people outside of your friend circle, then one of you has sex with a mutual friend, that's a breach of an established agreement. The key here is understanding that all relationships, again, monogamous or non-monogamous, have agreements, whether they're explicit or not, and whether or not you're being unfaithful has everything to do with whether those agreements are being respected or breached. Question number 3, if you feel jealous, does that mean non-monogamy isn't working? Not at all. Jealousy is a normal, healthy emotion, and it does not mean that something is inherently wrong with non-monogamy or your relationship. Instead of thinking of emotions as good or bad or positive or negative, think of them instead as comfortable or uncomfortable, because every feeling we have has a purpose. It's meant to tell us something. Now, jealousy is often uncomfortable, but it's a signal that we want to pay attention to. So rather than labeling it as negative, it's helpful to reflect on what it is trying to tell you. Now, I often find that jealousy boils down to one of three things, and kind of looking at these can help you get to the root of the jealousy and address the actual thing going on. And these three things are usually, number one, is there an unmet need? Jealousy might signal a need for reassurance or time together. For example, if your partner's spending a lot of time with a new person or even on a new hobby, you might need more quality time together to feel secure. Number two, is it linked to past wounds or similar situations? Sometimes jealousy can be tied to past experiences like an old betrayal or hurt, and recognizing this allows you to heal rather than project onto your partner. Number three, are personal insecurities at play? Sometimes jealousy is a call to explore your self-esteem, your sense of self. For instance, if you're feeling insecure when your partner is with somebody who shares a different interest, that might be an opportunity to reflect on any feelings of inadequacy. Now, the goal isn't to eliminate jealousy. It's to understand it and use it as a tool for growth, as we want to do with all of our emotions. Now, jealousy often leads to deeper self-awareness and a stronger relationship and connection and intimacy when it's acknowledged and unpacked. Question number 4, what are the benefits of non-monogamy, or some version of why would anyone actually want to do this? Now, while the benefits are going to be different for everyone because it looks so different, there are some common ones that I see frequently across different non-monogamous relationships. But again, it doesn't mean that it's true for everybody. These are just common ones that I see. First is personal growth. Non-monogamy often encourages really deep introspection. It can push people to learn more about what they want, how they feel, how to communicate honestly with themselves and their partners. It really can be an opportunity to grow emotionally. Second, deepened intimacy. Opening up a relationship often brings vulnerability, deep vulnerability, because you really have to talk about things and be honest, which really can deepen the connection between partners. And vulnerability really breeds intimacy, which can create a closer bond between people. Third, enhanced communication. Non-monogamy requires consistent, honest conversation about feelings, desires, boundaries, agreements. And many people share that this openness really strengthens their relationship. I mean, after all, uncomfortable conversations are what lead to truly comfortable relationships. And fourth, exploration and variety. Non-monogamy really allows people to explore different aspects of their sexuality or emotional needs that might not all be met within one relationship. It's not about filling a void necessarily, but honoring the unique connections that you can experience with different people and different experiences that you can have. Question number 5, how do I know if non-monogamy is right for me or will work for me? The truth is, you probably won't know until you try. I really suggest to clients to think of exploring non-monogamy as an experiment, a way to gather information about what you like, what you want, what you don't want. It's all about creating small steps rather than making sweeping changes all at once or diving right into the deep end. So if you're considering it, start to ask yourself and your partner or partner's questions about what excites me about non-monogamy. Then dig deeper. Why does that excite me? What about that excites me? And keep asking why. And do that also with what makes me nervous, followed with why does that make me nervous? Why does that make me nervous? The more you ask why, the deeper you can get and really start to understand where potential issues might arise so you can address those. And if you're feeling ready to take some small steps, start by identifying your ideal scenario with your partner and then breaking down what would you need to do to get there. For instance, if your goal is to be open to dating others, the first step might simply be a conversation about feelings and agreements with your partner. And you can build from there slowly with care and communication. Let me know what questions you have about non-monogamy in the comments below so I can answer them for you, because these are just 5 of the most common ones that I get, but I know there are a ton more out there that I hear from other people. So let me know what questions you have for future videos, and be sure to follow along for more content on how to have more satisfying and secure sex and relationships.